Welcome. I am CHARLEE Simons. This is Do Not Talk. Talk about the two things you're never supposed to talk about, politics and religion. But I have been very vocal about what happened with the whole COVID shutdown. That's what this show is going to be mostly about. I'm telling you right now. So just be prepared to learn some new stuff from an actual medical practitioner. This is John Blanchard. And I'm up here in this beautiful state called Idaho as a guest. So and this is the brother. I have I've just been so grateful to be able to get away from what I was in and where I was because frankly I was experiencing some health problems and kind of surprising, kind of scary stuff that put me in the emergency room twice within less than a week. And I had to do something. So my friend Cindy said, I'm going to go up and see my family in Idaho for about 3 weeks. You want to come along? And I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it for a second and a half. Yes, I do. Yes. Because I've been to Idaho before and I really liked it. I really appreciated it. And I'll tell you what, it's been fantastic. I'm just feeling so much better, so much healthier. But I'm right there in the Sacramento area. I'm showing up at the Capitol building. I'm going to protests. I'm doing all this kind of stuff, being very, very vocal, getting in trouble, getting my channels deleted, my shows pulled off social media and so on, because I talk about what I'm about to talk about with a real medical practitioner. And I'll tell you, it's been real. I have had Dr. Robert Malone on the show, Dr. Judy Mikovits I've had on the show. Both those shows pulled, really? Deleted. Because we're talking about something that is a weapon that was used in a political way. I'm quite convinced of that. I'm also involved in the military. And because of what I do on the show, I can't even really talk about it because I'd be kicked out of there too. I just can't. But I can show you something that's still going on. You want to know why enrollment in the military is so low? Why all four major branches, and now five with Space Force, having problems getting people to sign up? This.
Well, if you're gonna pass out, let me know.
This happens.
Hey, you okay? Help me out. Where's he getting to my ear?
Where's your military bag at? Here. Sit down. Hey. Sit down. Put your back up against that refrigerator now. Put your back up against the refrigerator now. Sit down now. Sit down.
That's called soldier
All right, come on.
care.
Let's go. All the way down. All the way down.
Still freaking jabbing her.
Hey, put your arm up. You're gonna bleed everywhere.
It's sad. It's sad. It's disgusting, actually.
It's murder. People are
100%.
dying from these shots.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is John Blanchard. He's in just an awesome little town in northern Idaho called Blanchard. Congratulations on getting a town named after you.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool.
That's right.
And he is a nurse practitioner, but in Idaho, that is a doctor. You have all the same schooling.
Yeah.
I mean, you went to UCLA for heaven's sake. And
That's
you've
right.
also
That's right.
served in some big collegiate hospitals, right?
Yep. I was at Harborview in Seattle. I worked at St. Pat's. Most of my stuff was surgery, open heart, critical care. My training is all critical care. We call it intensivist medicine. So putting in chest tubes and breathing tubes and taking care of people after surgery and things like that. That's my training.
Dang.
Yeah.
I thank God for people like you.
Thank you.
You do stuff that I wouldn't. I don't know how people work in an ER, in an emergency room.
Well, I actually now
First time I saw would see a bone sticking out of somebody's flesh, I think this has been fun. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Catch you for cocktails.
So that's what I used to do flying helicopters and do rescue before I got fat and old.
Fat and old. Dang it. Stupid age. You were doing helicopter rescue stuff.
I did that for about 6 years.
Man, you got stories.
I got a lot of stories. A lot of stories.
Tell me one. When you were like, holy cow, I don't know how we're going to pull this one off.
You know, probably the worst one ever, the worst one for me was a 16-year-old. I was on a motorcycle.
That's the worst, man, especially when they're young, I'd imagine, and kids.
So she was on the back. Her boyfriend was riding. He got decapitated. And she was cartwheeled off. And she had one leg here and one leg up over her shoulder. And eviscerated. Her organs were all hanging out. And she was screaming. So we landed. And she was only probably 3 miles from the base, but we had to get her to UC Davis at the time. It was in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And I had to pull her leg down to get her in the helicopter.
Oh.
And her femur came up into her chest. It was so horrific.
And you cannot give them any pain meds
I actually
when they're in that, because they'll go into shock, right?
she was going to die. So I cross clamped her aorta, right. I mean, she was going to die anyway. So I was clamping her because she was bleeding out. And so I was doing everything I could just keep her alive, just get her to the trauma center to see what can be done, which at that point, probably not a whole lot. And that's something that will stick with me forever.
How could it not?
Yeah, that was
the worst part is, and I've had some things happen in my life where I now understand PTSD.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Especially at night when you're trying to sleep and you just keep seeing it in your mind over and over again. And the screaming part is the worst. You keep hearing it.
It was something that will live with me forever. I mean, I have quite a few of them that do, but that was one that was, wow. It was one of those moments.
Did she die?
She died actually in her. So we landed. It was a short hop. We rolled her in, and the trauma surgeon, there's nothing we could do. So basically, loaded her up and let her die peacefully, as much as they could. I mean, they started blood products and everything they could, but she died within probably 12 minutes of us landing. It was terrible. Holy cow. I mean, there's so many things like that. You see over 30 years of doing this. Now I work in corrections. I work at the jail, and I see stuff it's like a small ER. I have 450 inmates I take care of, and it's incredible what I see every day. And correctional medicine is quite interesting. It's quite a challenge versus being inpatient. I did open heart surgery for 20 years and trauma, general surgery for another 5, and then the last 5 I've been out doing correctional medicine. Since COVID, since 2019, I left the bureaucracy of the hospital because I refused to get a shot, and I wouldn't do it. So,
you know what I asked over and over again on the air when I was on the radio? This might have been one of the reasons why I'm no longer on the radio. I kept asking, what do doctors and nurses know that we don't know? Why are doctors and nurses refusing to get this shot? Why are they losing their entire career over refusal of getting that shot?
I've been threatened. So every avenue, my license, my DEA, all of it's been
I
threatened.
have a friend down in the Sacramento area that lost his doctor's license, his medical license.
They've tried.
Because he's prescribing ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, and he's telling people don't get the shot. And that cost him his career.
Yeah. So for me, medicine's not my livelihood. I run a business and I have other sources of income. So, but after 30 years of this, it's hard. I don't just walk away from it. It's something. I have 250 patients in my private practice. I'm the provider at the jail, so I provide for the county and try to save money for the county. In the last 5 years, I saved them almost $5 million because I refused to comply with the COVID. I refused to comply sending everybody out. I refused. Nobody wore masks. No more isolation. No more gowns for anyone. Nothing. And the first year is 1.5 million I saved them just in that alone. And so I have 450 inmates at one time. I didn't have one COVID death, not one COVID hospitalization, not one intubation, not one. And these are people who are on the streets, homeless, abuse of drugs, IV drugs. I mean, poor hygiene, poor everything, intake, their alcohol. I mean, I'm not judging these people. I'm not saying every single one of them. But these are people who are, they're
People who put themselves into that
they
position.
put themselves in a bad
They
position.
make stupid life choices. Screw everybody else. I want to stay high. I want to stay drunk. I want to stay all
But
of the
if you
above.
think about it, these are people who aren't seeing doctors or nurses. They're not getting their blood pressure medicine or diabetes medicine. They're not taking their insulin. They're not doing the things that you and I would do, right, to make sure that we stay as healthy as we can. And so I'm getting these people who are sick as can be, withdrawing from drugs, and still not going to the hospital, still not being intubated, who have cavitary lung disease from drugs and smoking and meth and heroin, and yet I don't have the same numbers that supposedly the rest of the country's having. And I got threatened by judges. I got threatened by attorneys because as soon as they tested positive, for example, in Spokane, I worked in Spokane as well, they would be released. They'd be like, I have COVID. Everybody would be so afraid of them. They'd release them back.
You know,
out to
they did that
society.
in California too.
Yeah, they
By
released
the
them out.
thousands.
Oh, yeah.
Even
So-
off of death row.
So what do you think the attorneys are doing? Hey, I want them tested. And I'm like, no. And I literally would get
Because they were
letters.
wanting to get their clients
They wanna get their client
released.
And the greatest part was here was
And then
my
they get
answer
to look
every
like
time.
a hero.
Yeah.
Look what I did for
So
you.
I said, here's your two choices. Go to medical school and take my job, or get your client out of jail. I'm not testing them. This is my license, my malpractice. I'm not testing anybody for COVID. I really don't care. Get them out. Do your job. Or come do mine. You can do what you want when you have my job.
You couldn't have done that in California.
Oh, but they
You
tried,
would have been fired
they tried
and
here.
brought up on charges.
But I have to say, here, Sheriff Norris, the Kootenai County Sheriff's Department,
Thank God for sheriffs.
they literally supported
Constitutional sheriffs.
They supported everything I did. They literally supported me down to the T. They said, we don't have to wear masks. I said, no. We don't have to wear gowns. No. We don't have to isolate all these instruments. I said, put them all together. It's a virus. They're going to get sick. I will handle it. I will handle it as it comes. I don't treat political viruses. I treat biological ones. And that's what I did.
I love that. Political viruses. That's what it was.
It was a political virus.
It was
a real virus. I mean, it was a lab-made virus.
Yes.
And
it was
had consequences. Every virus does every year.
interesting that if you're going to weaponize a virus, a simple flu, if you're going to weaponize it, you can make it target certain age groups, can't you?
Absolutely. What they did with this one.
But yet they're giving children as young as 6 months
Oh, beautiful.
this poison into their little bodies.
Well,
And people are lining up to get their kids jabbed.
I mean, myocarditis. So one of my best friends is a cardiothoracic surgeon. I don't want to say his name on the air just because out of respect, but he's a cardiothoracic surgeon here in town. And
I don't know what that is.
Heart surgeon. He does cardiac surgery.
Okay.
Brilliant man, and he and I are the same age. And he is seeing large amount of myocarditis, swelling of the heart in young kids, young teenagers, young adults, and yet there's no treatment. There's no treatment for it other than just monitor. It's called surveillance. We just have to watch it. And this is on a rise by 1,000%. But you hear nothing about it on the media. Nothing. I mean, you hear like people like you getting it out there. People like me. I've given talks and threatened by people, threatened by judges and attorneys and the state license. And my thing is, you can have my license. I don't really care. Take my license. You can have it. You're going to take away 250 people I take care of, 450 inmates who I take care of. I'm saving taxpayers' money. I'm doing what's fiduciary responsible as a provider, providing good service, doing what's right. Not what's what's easy? Click a button, put a mask on somebody, go in that cell over there. That's easy. What's hard is, no, I'm going to treat your symptoms. I'm not going to test you for something I don't care if you have it or not. I'm going to treat your symptoms. That's what I was trained to do. Not play the game of, I'm supposed to do it this way today. We're going to change the definition. And then I'm supposed to give this drug that I have no idea if it even works, but it possibly could kill you. So let me try that one. I don't do that. And
I kept asking, what do doctors and nurses know that we don't know, that they're refusing to get this shot? Do you even know what's in it?
I have an idea of what's in it.
Because you don't get a list of ingredients.
No.
Even still, 4 years into this, you don't get a list of ingredients with this vaccine, which I don't call it that. It's a freaking flu shot. It's not a vaccine.
No, they changed the definition to meet that. But Moderna and Johnson & Johnson pulled those off the market because of blood clots. I have a dozen patients who have blood clotting disorders, who have what we call DVTs and pulmonary embolisms, and literally almost died from it. And they have no history, none. They don't have the, I was saying earlier.
Are they sedentary?
Sedentary, so pilots, truck drivers, things like that. You kind of expect that. You're sitting, your knees are bent, you're sitting for long periods of time. They're high risk. These are people who are active, loggers, people who are out every day, triathlon runners who are swimming and
Getting
running
blood clots in their legs.
and getting it in their lungs.
And what's the one thing that's common?
That all got that shot. There lies the problem. No other reason. And they've been tested for cancer. They've had PET scans, CT scans, MRIs. Can't find anything else. And then they say to me, John, they told me that that's just a big conspiracy. I'm like, if you can find another reason, I'm all ears. I'll listen. But you can't, and I can't either. Other than I have people just like you who I have a reason. They had knee surgery. They got a blood clot. Who are truck drivers. They sat for 16 hours and didn't get up and walk. They got a blood clot. I have, after 30 years of doing this, I can give you reasons why you may get it. But why do you have a blood clot that went to your lungs and you're a triathlon guy? You're out running every day 50 miles. How is that even possible? It's not.
It's not.
Because you're now in your 50s, just got this injection.
But there's one common denominator, and that is the shot.
A year ago, and now I also have all these blood clots. You tell me. So it's really sad. It's very sad. And that's why when all these threats I got at the jail, I just say, here's my license. You can have it. It's not my livelihood. It's not how I make my living anymore. So you want to take me out of the game? Go right ahead. I don't care. I really don't care.
Right.
So,
that's frightening for people in the medical. I've had such a hard time getting people to go on the air in the medical profession actually talking about this. Honestly, I've had a real hard time because they're afraid.
when it is your livelihood, when you're having to
You
pay
spend years just to get educated.
I went
to
to
be able to
school.
do what you
I've
do.
had my education is 12 years. I have 12 years of education between undergraduate, graduate, fellowship, extra training. So yes, I put a lot of money, a lot of time. I have over 55,000 hours, contact hours, patient contact hours. That's like, in pilot to say, you rate pilots based upon
1,000 hours.
1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 25,000. And the military ones are the ones with the highest hours. And those are the ones that are usually the safest because they've had so many scenarios, right? Medicine's the same way. You come out of your internship, your residency, you have 10,000 hours, and now you start practicing medicine. The term practice means it's not a science that's just black and white. It's gray. And so you learn to deal with things. You're not going to react the same way as I am to a medicine, nor is somebody else in the room. So you're practicing this daily. So at 55,000 hours, I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I used to do research. And so when you ask that question, why are doctors and nurses know that we don't know? It takes on average 14 years for a scientific drug to reach the market. 14 years. And you tell me in 6 months or less, you're going to put something out there that supposedly is going to alter this virus so you don't get it. How much did you hear on TV? Get the shot. We're the ones that are causing the problem, the people who aren't getting it,
Right.
because you're spreading it. That's funny because everybody that's gotten it is still positive.
They're still getting it.
They're still testing positive.
Yeah.
What did you help? How did that help you?
Right.
And I was telling you earlier is I dipped 5 of those tests: milk, water, orange juice, apple juice. I dipped them all, and 3 of the 5 turned back positive.
Is that the what is it? PCR test?
PCR test?
Which is, by the way, from China.
Actually, it's not even a way to test for viruses. It's going to pop positive for proteins. Every virus is a protein. It's RNA. So it's really sad because I've lost friends, I've lost coworkers, and who are like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." Am I? Or am I just following what I studied 30 years ago?
Isn't that science?
It's not the science.
Which
I
is
call
not
it the Fauci science.
Which is never constant.
No, science.
Follow the science. Well, the science is always changing.
And I
It was
love
done
that.
right.
Follow the science that we tell you to follow.
That's
And
what
if you
it
don't,
was.
we're going to threaten you.
That's what it was.
In medicine, we are told you get a second opinion. If somebody said you need open heart surgery, we're going to tell you to go get a second opinion. Your insurance will sometimes force you to get a second opinion. But now all of a sudden, now you're not allowed to have a second opinion. You're not allowed to be told. If I told you I wouldn't want you to get that shot, they're coming after me. Why? That's my job. My job is to look at the risks and the benefits. That is a risk to you. But yet now if I say that, you want to take my license from me. The difference between me and a lot of other providers, I'm like, you can have the damn thing. I really don't care.
I've done several shows on hospital protocols.
Yeah.
Hospital protocols.
Yeah.
I've had victims on the air. Never a doctor talking about it, though. You are, with the exception, like I said, Dr. Malone or Dr. Mikovits and Dr. Who's the Surgeon General in Florida? Dag nabbit, I'm not thinking of his name.
I know that. I know you're talking.
What a stud.
Yeah.
Had him on the air, too. But somebody in practice like you are now, every day. No, They won't. Um, all I heard was from the media, which was not allowed in hospitals. Never forget that. Nobody was in there because it was supposed to be, they're canceling all elective surgeries, no matter how important they are. And that's why to this day, I have a very badly mangled right foot from a car racing accident. I was supposed to go in for my fourth surgery. UC Davis canceled it because it was elective. Well, I think it's kind of important because it's affecting how I'm going to walk the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Stupid. But I kept being told that, oh, you can't even go into the hospital. And remember, they were making us wear the whole full gown and protective sleeve and all this kind of stuff. We couldn't even visit loved ones in the hospital. And we were told that they were to capacity, that people were sitting in gurneys, laying in gurneys outside of rooms because there weren't enough rooms. Now, two things were happening then. Doctors and nurses like him were being fired for refusing to take the shot that they were telling us we all had to take. They were being fired. A lot of nurses and doctors were literally being let go from hospitals and so on, med centers and everything. And all who were left behind were people who, I'll comply with anything. Whatever you say, absolutely, I'll do that. And I'll make everybody else do it too. How full were the hospitals? Was that all just a big lie? The media was telling me, the media, which actually had no evidence as to whether the hospitals were full or not.
You know the part they're full of was they're full of people who were sick, but they kept them longer because they were getting premiums from the insurance companies on top of it, because
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You could literally die of a heart attack, and they'll say you died of COVID. In fact, they had death certificates, cause of death, COVID, yet they were shot or they burned in a fire, but they tested for COVID because they were getting money for that. That's the part that was such.
Were they at capacity, though?
Yes and no, and here's why. Like you said, firing nurses, firing doctors. You have your license for a bed count. Let's say you're licensed for a 500 bed count in a hospital, big hospital. But you have to have staff for that bed count. So if your staff is down to a certain number, your bed count may go to 200 now. They're at capacity. Not because they don't have the beds, because they don't have the staff, because they let them all go.
Right.
Or they said, you can't work here. But I love how we can work there to get through this first phase, but now you can't unless you get jabbed. You got to get this. If you don't, you can't work here. But what about for the last 2 years I've been working around all these sick people? I have natural immunity. You know, I love this part. So the CDC, during the fire, we have bad fires here, right? They literally put out a thing saying, don't let kids go outside if you have reactive airway. The mask with the ashes outside isn't going to protect you. So I would say to people, let me understand.
Which is thicker and bigger than the actual virus
by 1,000
molecules.
So I can see the ash in the air. I can see it. It's a haze in the sky. I can see it falling on the ground. The mask doesn't help me. But the virus, which is 100 times smaller, I can't see, is going to protect me. So I thought, well, why don't we put up chain link fence to stop the mosquitoes? It makes sense, right?
That's that's a good comparison. It's like trying to keep out mosquitoes with a chain link fence.
That's exactly what it is.
But why did everybody jump on that bandwagon?
Control.
But there was one doctor at the top who's supposed to be the best doctor and smartest doctor of all, who originally said, "You think?" who originally said, "Don't forget,
don't wear a mask."
Right?
Don't wear a mask.
Right?
You know, people
if
say,
you feel better, you go ahead, but it's not really effective, and then all that changed.
You're gonna get me started. But I literally have baristas in Starbucks, which I would never use Starbucks. Sorry, man.
Good.
I just won't.
I'm with you.
Telling me you need to have a mask, all this stuff, and I said, "What do you do?" Well, I serve coffee. You're getting me infected. I'm like, you think that mask is stopping all this stuff? And so we start talking, and they're like, and they find out what I do for a living. They're like, you wear it in surgery, not for any other reason but to protect the patient of the operating field.
Of spit.
I can tell you this, before
Saliva.
2019, if we walked out of the OR suite with a mask and our booties on and our cap on in the hallway, we would literally be stopped and said, throw that in the trash because you have a chance of spreading other germs. Contaminating other people in the hospital. But now you want me to wear the same one all week.
I'll bet you know the history of the Spanish flu and what kept that going for so long, don't you?
Yes.
So what was it?
All what I just said.
It was the masks.
It was people not changing. Washing your hands is the number one thing. Washing your hands. Changing between the contact of each patient, changing into a clean mask or whatever the case may be. Back in was it 2015, that whole Ebola scare? You remember the Ebola scare?
Mhm.
A doctor and a nurse came back on a plane. There's this huge Ebola scare. They put us in these big now Ebola, that shit will kill you. I mean, it's got a 15% survival chance. You're going to bleed out of every orifice. I've seen it. Yet we wore that stuff because Ebola will kill your ass. But you're going to tell me the world's most deadliest virus, I can put a diaper on my face and I'm going to be safe.
What's the survivability rating? I've heard different numbers. The number I've heard most regularly is 99.8% survivability rating of the COVID virus.
So,
in other words, even if you get it, it's most likely not going to kill you.
You know the sad part is, it's not the COVID virus that's killing you, it's your comorbidities that are killing you. It's the complication of a comorbidity. What
And an unhealthy lifestyle.
Unhealthy lifestyle. So they designed this virus to attack a certain receptor in the lungs called the ACE receptor. And that's lisinopril is a drug we give out. It's very common for blood pressure. And we found that people who were taking that had worse outcomes because it's a blocking agent that blocks that receptor to help lower blood pressure in your lungs. Well, this gain of function research, they focused on this actual receptor site for COVID. So people that were taking lisinopril had worse outcomes than people that weren't. It's interesting how, I hear this, they died of COVID. I'm like, what else did they have? Oh, they were diabetic, they were morbidly obese, they had hypertension, heart disease. And you're like, but they died of COVID? Or they died of complication from COVID?
Or did they die of hospital protocols, which called for everyone to get a frickin' shot of remdesivir?
Which will put your renal failure.
What the hell is remdesivir? Where did that come from, Fauci?
Yeah.
Why did that become everybody that goes in has to get remdesivir? Why? That had to be it.
That actually killed more people because of renal failure than it did the drug.
Right. Because it causes your kidneys to shut down. You're laying in a bed in that, what's that tent thing? What do they call that tent thing? Incubator, whatever it is. And you drown to death because your body's filling up with fluid because your kidneys not, and it's all from the remdesivir.
Yeah, it was actually worse than that.
One of my best friends died from that. I've been telling people, another reason why I'm probably not on the radio anymore, you want to die? Check yourself into the hospital. They seem to be hell-bent on making sure that happens because it triples the kind of money they get from that federal thing that was passed, that CARES Act or whatever the hell that was called.
Well, I know, so that's funny now. Now you're allowed to order ivermectin to treat COVID. It's funny how they got that passed, but now you can order it. But until it got passed, they would take our license from us if we ordered it.
That's still part of the hospital protocols, isn't it?
Which part?
Remdesivir.
Oh, yeah, they're still giving it like candy. I wouldn't take it.
It's crazy.
It's money. It's a business. It's about money. Medicine's a business. Crazy.
How are people not being sued? Oh, I know. We passed a law that you can't even sue the drug companies.
Correct.
So why are the hospitals not being sued for these protocols?
They actually are being sued.
I hope
but
so.
You don't hear about it.
I'm not hearing about it.
Correct. They are being sued.
People are dying because of this. Still, that's the weirdest thing. 4 years into it, still dying from this.
What's sad is people are dying alone and not allowed to be with their loved ones. I mean, talk about inhumane. You don't even do that to your animal. How many people just like, oh yeah, go put my pet down and see you later, Drax. Good luck with your life. It was nice having you for 10 years. I mean, to not be with a loved one. Here's a TV screen. You can watch them die on TV. Come on. That's disgusting to me.
It really is.
Disgusting.
Huh? So now, you're at a point where you have a successful business on the side. He's literally invented something, and I got to see his shop the other day. And he's making something that nobody else had ever thought of, and it's going to save lives. It's going to definitely save a lot of broken bones, but it has to do with heavy equipment, which is so funny to me because I'm like, how does a doctor come up with some kind of invention to make heavy equipment more effective?
It's actually this right here, Cinch Tracks.
Cinch Tracks, CINCHTRAX, if you want to look it up.
So, because I run heavy equipment, and so sorry, I'm on call. So
He's on call, so he has to check his phone.
And I rolled my machine, broke my ribs, blew the motor, and I thought, man, there's got to be something out there. So I bought everything I could because rubber tracks, just like tires on a car, on ice don't work.
You're
And it's
talking on bulldozers and
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
equipment with tracks, not
Yeah.
wheels.
So rubber
Well,
track
it's got
equipment-
wheels, but not
Yeah.
tires.
Correct. So the rubber track equipment just would slide everywhere. It's like an ice skate. So I started making stuff and welding stuff because I like working with my hands, and just evolved. And one thing turned to another. I filed a patent, and here I am 6 years later, and I sell them around the world. And it was just all on accident.
That's exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's also put you in a position that you can say, "You medical field,
That's exactly right.
you're gonna make me do what?
Yeah.
You must be high."
Oh my God. See ya. Bye.
But you're still seeing patients.
I
You're
still have
practicing
private
medicine.
Yep, I have a private practice. I have 250 patients in my private practice. I work 2 days a week at the jail seeing patients. I actually enjoy medicine. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy this contact, and that's what I went to school for, and making a difference in somebody's life. In 2019, when they started this crap, they were basically telling me, "You have to do this. You have to do this," and I'm like, This is not Auschwitz. This is not Nazi Germany. That's what you're doing.
Even then, you knew this isn't right.
This isn't. You can't make people do anything, and now you're threatening their livelihood. You're threatening their jobs. Even me. And I'm like, wait a minute. The Nuremberg trials were in place to stop this kind of thing. This is absolutely asinine. We have to get consent from people. I can't force you to do anything.
How do you get people to comply?
You scare them. Put the fear in them.
What have I been
Yeah.
saying?
You put the fear.
That
in
is the absolute most effective way to control a mass group of people is through fear.
Great fear.
We had the most successful economy in the history of the United States of America. Coming from the 2008 debacle and a ridiculous recession, close to depression, 8 years of Obama, making sure it lasted as long as possible so you can infect and grow the government even more and more with the shovel-ready jobs and all that crap. So along comes Trump. Threw a monkey wrench into their plans. Hillary was supposed to be the third Obama term. And along comes Trump. And there's enough of us who went, nope, that's it. We're doing a course correction right now. And it worked. A successful businessman is what you need running a government. I firmly believe that. I don't want any more politicians. I want successful businessmen calling the shots because they make things happen. Well, what about all the bankruptcies? He said, oh, shut up. Have you ever made $1 billion? Do you know what it takes to get to that point? You have absolutely no idea. So stop talking stupid. Everybody's had to declare
How do these
bankruptcy.
politicians who are civil servants become multimillionaires?
How is Nancy Pelosi worth millions and millions of dollars
Right.
on her salary of $140K
Right.
a year?
Insider trading.
Great
That's
question. Exactly. So we had the most successful economy, and people vote with their wallets. So it was a given he was going to get reelected. And imagine what he could have accomplished if he would have had just 4 more years. But how do you change that? How do you completely throw everything into chaos? Through fear. And you do that like, I don't remember if this is the second show I'm doing with him, by the way, because my equipment screwed up the first time around. So I don't remember what we talked about already here and what we talked about the first time and no one could hear us. But the whole control of Fauci, the medical profession, big pharma, working with, it all seems to be hell-bent on a one world government scenario. It's really New World Order crap that I see going on. How do you stop when you want to destroy a nation, because we're the only thing standing in the way of a one world government, the United States of America. How do you take it down? You ruin the economy. You make sure that the man who gave us such a successful economy is taken out of power. You drive people with fear to do what you want. And then, like they did in California, 2 years under an emergency powers act. Oh, we have to do this for your own good. They're passing laws that have nothing to do with protecting us for COVID.
Oh no, they're slipping under.
They're passing laws that are allowing grooming in schools. They're passing laws that are taking away parental rights. These are the kind of laws that they're passing, and most of us didn't even know because they waived their own 30-day print rule. Their own rule, which that's odd. And they waived it because, well, it's an emergency. We got to get these things done quickly. Done what? Grooming of children? Why do you got to get that done so quickly? It's all designed, it seems, to completely destroy the state of California. And as California goes, so goes the rest of the nation.
It's destroying the entire
When
nation
that state collapses financially, which it's already
in the process of
$80 billion in debt, and that's what they're telling us. You destroy California, it's going to spread like a cancer across the whole United States. That seems to be the best way to do it. Ruin it financially, keep people locked down in fear so you can keep controlling them. You can keep doing them, making them do stupid things like voting by mail, which there's no easier way to cheat. That's California.
Well,
So
it's
here
like-
you are in Idaho, and you're going, those people are crazy, forget it. And if you're moving to Idaho from California, don't bring your politics with you. I saw a sticker that said, what was it? Don't Californicate Idaho.
Don't Californize Idaho. Yeah.
Don't Californianize Idaho.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
No,
I don't blame you.
it's disgusting.
Not one bit. That seems to be the goal, is to ruin California. And it was extremely successful, the whole COVID thing, wasn't it?
For the whole world. They shut down small businesses, like you said, essential places. Why is Walmart an essential place, but my business isn't?
In California, casinos were deemed essential. Pot dispensaries were deemed essential.
Yeah.
Why did the mom and pop places have to shut down, but
And the
yet
churches.
Walmart and
Churches.
Target? Oh, don't forget the churches.
Yeah, we can shut down the churches.
Churches were not deemed essential. And then and I was one of the ones protesting down at the Capitol a lot over that. I was livid. He goes, they changed and went, okay, well, I guess you can go to church again, but you can't sing. That was a rule. That was not a rule, not a law. Governor cannot make
Right.
law. It was a mandate.
Right.
You can't sing
It's so atrocious.
in church,
Yeah.
even if you're wearing a mask.
But no, if you sit down, the virus is right here. So if you sit down and eat and take your
In a
mask off, you're
restaurant?
okay.
Yeah.
But if you stand up, you gotta wear your mask because viruses only sit right here.
Never forget what they did. Please start refreshing your mind about what they put us through. And that's what it was all about, isn't it?
Control.
Just total control, huh?
Control. Fear. Drive fear, create fear, test society. They tested society and it worked. You put enough fear in people and they'll react.
Unfortunately, it did work. So, thank you so much for doing this. Is there's the October surprise everyone is talking about right now, I believe, is happening, and that is another sudden virus. The monkeypox thing didn't work.
Yeah, they tried that.
Once everybody found out, oh, it's a sexually transmitted disease, especially in the homosexual community. Monkeypox, really? They were getting people to shut down and wear masks again over that.
Yeah.
You don't get it by breathing on somebody, by the way. You get it by injecting things into them from other body parts. It's a sexually transmitted disease. But they were grasping at straws, weren't they?
Anything.
Because so many of us had already learned this whole COVID thing has a 99.8% survivability rating.
It's the flu every year. We get the flu every year. This one was just introduced.
Don't forget, we had two flus.
Yeah.
Especially in 2020, 21, 22. You had your regular flu,
Yeah.
which, what is that? Why does that always seem to come from Asian countries?
Because
It's always different every year, isn't it?
because of the different types of animals that comes from. Because like we talked about earlier, we don't know what got through or not, but they eat a lot of animals that we consider pets, and they're not prepared correctly, and so viruses survive that. You ingest it, and then all of a sudden you have this, or you get bit by it, or while you're trying to process that meat, it gets transferred into you, and so then it spreads like any other virus. That's how these names come from them. Is what swine, pig, things like that. So it's
In 2019, don't forget that they had already made the announcement that this is going to be one of the worst flu years in at least 20 years. This is going to be one of the worst flu years.
Yeah. Well,
And-
H1N1 was in 2016, 15.
There was that one, but I'm talking about 2019. They were already saying this is going to be a very bad flu year.
Exactly.
Oh, by the way, let's introduce another one. So you already get automatically at least a couple of 100,000 people who die of the flu every year just in the United States of America.
Absolutely. Every year.
Every year. Now we have two. So all of a sudden, and then they passed the CARES Act, and hospitals and med centers are getting paid to treat COVID,
Right.
getting paid even more if the patient dies by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're going to make sure that that they keep getting paid, because that's still going on. That hasn't changed. That hasn't ended. What's coming out now in this election year, this October surprise? Have you heard anything?
I personally haven't. I mean, they're always going to try to do something. You know, they talk about, oh, it's mutated. It's mutated. Viruses mutate. Every virus mutates. That's what happens when it reaches all these different kinds of DNA. It mutates. Our bodies are designed to pick that up and fight it. Some people won't because of their comorbidities. It's because of what other disease process they have, their age. There's a lot of factors. They have cancer. They have diabetes. They have hypertension. Whatever the case may be. You know, they're not dying from this, they're dying of it because of other problems. And this was a complication, like it is every year for flu season. Like I said, 30 years
And now
ago,
it's 2 flus every year.
Yeah.
The new one that comes in automatically, it just seems to happen every year. And COVID, still hanging in there.
Yeah, well, they did this whole scare earlier with the RSV for kids. You're hearing about all this RSV. It's been around forever. RSV, it's in kids, you see it. No different than the other virus. You just deal with the symptoms.
The best thing we can do is get out of California. I would love to say that California can change, and there's a lot of us down there fighting. The biggest battle we have against is our own party, the rhinos that are in there, Republicans in name only. Seems to be some of our biggest battles right now.
Yeah.
We're really trying, because we know that is the front lines in California. As that state goes, so will go the rest of the nation.
Yeah.
And it's very clear to me that they're trying to take down the state of California, because you don't usher in a new world order as long as the United States is standing there strong.
Right.
As Trump once said, I'll never forget, I was actually listening to this speech when he said, "We will never be a socialist country, not as long as I'm around." Remember when he said that?
It's
Did you hear that?
absolutely true.
It was awesome.
Absolutely true.
That put a target on him bigger than anything else.
Well, they couldn't take him down legally, so now they're just trying to kill him. That's the end goal.
That's it, isn't it?
Yep.
You think he's going to do it in November? Think we're going to do it?
I think no matter what happens, it's so corrupted you can't trust it. I mean, the CIA developed, computer bugs to change votes for other countries. These democracies are trying to start in these third world countries. The CIA implemented this stuff back in the 80s. Bugs into their system to make sure that we wanted the person elected. How's it any different here? It's so corrupted. You can't even trust it.
Right.
You can't trust it. And that's the sad part.
Give me a light at the end of the tunnel. What can we do to survive this?
Stand strong, stand together, stay firm. I'm a salmon. I swim upstream. I'm not afraid to fight for what's right, and I will fight to the bitter end. And I don't allow government to dictate what I'm going to do. In other words, I comply with law and I do what's right for my patients, and of course I obey the law. But what I'm saying is I don't let them dictate my future. I'm not going to get a shot just so I can go to a grocery store, and I'm not going to get a shot so I can get on a plane or wear a mask. I'm not doing that. I won't do it. And so I stand up for what's right, and I'm still here and I'm still practicing. I've gotten beaten up over it, not physically, but yeah, emotionally, threatening my license and all that. But like I said, I developed a company that is my financial freedom, and so medicine isn't my source of income. So,
but it was for a long time.
It was for very long.
But yet you still stood against this.
Absolutely, 100%.
And that makes you a hero of mine. This is John Blanchard. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
This was fun. Thank you.
You want to help this show? You want to help this show stay on the air? There's a couple of ways. One, give business to the businesses that are supporting it. Mike Lindell at MyPillow. MyPillow.com/Lee. My middle name is Lee. Can get you up to 75% off products. And he'll share with me, he'll give me half of whatever profit he makes off of what you buy if you use my middle name as a promo code. So it's MyPillow.com/Lee. You'll be helping me. You'll be helping yourself. American-made products, over 100 of them now at his online store, because he had all of his products pulled off every big box store.
Yeah.
When he started questioning about the whole election
Yep.
thing. So give him your business and support American-made products. Support this patriot. MyPillow.com/Lee. The other one is if you just want to make a donation, it would be nice. You'd be helping tremendously at Venmo.com/Do Not Talk. That's Venmo.com/Do Not Talk. If you don't have Venmo, there's a whole, it's like Cash App and Zelle and PayPal. It's the same kind of thing. And it's easy to sign up if you don't mind. If you don't want to be doing that, just then buy something from My Pillow. How about that? May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless